Oh,
That's
no.
right at the moment. Working with Lynn to get her online here. She's having a little bit of trouble. So we'll hopefully be set up in just a moment.
Okay. Why don't we get going with announcements? I saw, Patrick, you started the recording. Thanks for that. So I have an announcement from all the climate literacy session conveners. So last week we had our clean call. It was just a day or so after all the climate literacy sessions were approved by NSF, by AGU, and they so we said that we are going to develop just a newsletter that highlights all the different sessions, so we can put out the word and get people to submit abstracts. But clearly, nobody really thinks about AGU until, I don't know, middle of July, so we can do that in a few weeks. But the one thing that's more time critical, time sensitive, is inviting speakers. So getting invited speakers on board. And so someone suggested last week to put out a call to the community for suggestions for invited speakers for these 9 different sessions. And so Katie Boyd, the new Clean program manager, actually put out an email yesterday on the Clean call, which you may have seen, for suggestions for invited speakers. And clearly the conveners are going to invite and make a decision, but just as a way for the community to provide some input.
Anna, I actually didn't see that, but I'll go back. This is Jen. Go back and look at it. So did she put out a call for all of the sessions?
She did. She put out an Excel spreadsheet. Did anyone else see it? I saw it come through.
I don't recall seeing it either. I'm gonna have to go back and look. That's not a good sign.
It's not a good sign. So I will go in the archive to see if it was sent out. But
I have a tiny related update, is that the higher ed diversity session group had an email exchange yesterday, and the co-chairs and their 2 supporting conveners have had contact, and we know our first priority is to do invited speakers, and that we've got a plan to connect. So that's good. I have not had contact for the K-12 group yet, but I know Pat's really busy right now, Pat Harcourt, who's in charge.
So actually, I just went.
I don't think I got it.
So
I'm going back. I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah, so she sent it out, and I got it because she CC'd me on it, but clearly it didn't go out. So I'll try to resend it.
Okay, thank you.
Good. This is why we talk.
Yes, exactly. So are there any other announcements?
This is Jen. I just have a couple, like, maybe I already announced this, but I'm just really excited about this, that we have I live in Northern New York State. I'm the programs director at the Wild Center, which is a science museum, and we have a youth climate program, and two of our smaller communities, we're in a rural area, Lake Placid and Saranac Lake, just signed on to be climate smart communities. So, and they did that because we have youth that have been in dialogue with them over the past, in some cases, several years. But like, it was both communities are officially registering today, and they've already made public announcements about it and done press releases about it. And I'm just really excited to see this kind of shift, especially in an area that's typically, pretty rural and can be quite conservative. So we're really excited, and they have spaces on their task forces for youth to participate. That's another part of this that I'm excited about, that there's now not only are youth driving the process, but they're going to be a part of it moving forward.
That's fantastic. Any other announcements from anyone on the call? Mm.
And
If
it looks
not-
like Lynn's on the call.
Yeah, I saw that. If not, we'd like, let's get started on the call. As you know, Don Dugan, as I mentioned that earlier, was going to facilitate the call and introduce Lynne Cherry, but I actually don't have your bio here. So Lynne, I was going to ask, would you mind introducing yourself?
I'm here now, so I can introduce.
Oh, you are. Perfect. Go for it.
I'm sitting on a train about to pull out of the station, so I'm going to go underground and lose contact. But Lynne Cherry is a children's book author and artist and film producer who has been very focused on climate change issues for many, many years now, and he's a friend from many years now. And I think I'll leave it at that and let her take it away. I don't have stuff in front of me to cite, so I'll let her carry on from there. Hi, Lynne.
She's having some audio issues here, even though we've got her online. But I think we've got some workarounds if we need to. She can connect by phone, and as long as she's able to share the screen, we'll be okay.
Lynne, and you probably saw that there's a phone call option that's actually pretty easy. I've used it before. If you click on the under audio and phone call, it gives you a phone number and a PIN to enter, and then you connect directly into the session.
And just to have a kind of community, naturally, for those of us who want a little catch up on Lynne's wonderful work over the years, the website is beautiful and things. So those of us who are quiet, I think, are probably doing some research on our own as well. So looking forward to hearing from Lynne, but it's not like we're not taking things in right now.
To fill some of the silence here, from the clean collection side of the Clean Network, we are having a clean review camp next week. So annually, most of you probably know, annually the clean collection team hosts a review panel where we review resources to be entered in the clean collection side of the network. And so that's going to happen next week.
Can you hear me now? Can I hear?
I can hear the voice.
Yep,
Yep,
we
we
can hear
get-
you, Lynne.
Yay. Okay, wonderful. Okay, I got it. I see what happened. It's just a little button that says computer audio or phone call.
Green tab.
Okay, I'm going to hang up the phone, okay?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Can people hear me?
Yes.
Okay, all right, good. And so now I just have to do screen sharing.
Yep, that's right. You're the presenter, so just go to the tab that says screen and go ahead and share your screen.
The one that says show? Uh-oh.
Up at the top, there should be a little microphone and then a little screen and then a little camera. And if you just click on the little screen in the middle of the microphone and the camera, that should share your screen with us.
Okay. Oh, microphone. Now it's not. Okay. Share. It says screen sharing up top. And then my options are show, stop, give
Okay,
people
try.
amazing change presenter. And I did show, I'm going to do show again. Okay, I think this is it. Show, yeah, okay, this should be it. Main screen, share. Oh God.
There you go.
Almost. What does it look like to you? Does it look okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
are good to.
Okay. All right. I think that's okay. Because I can't hear anyone else now.
Yep, we're all muted here. No worries.
Oh, okay. All right. Do you want me to just begin? Or we're still doing the other introductions? Hello?
I think you can go ahead and get rolling, Lynn. I think we should be good to go.
Okay. All right. Well, hello, everyone. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm, as you can see from the slide, I'm Lynne Cherry. I'm a children's book author, illustrator, and most currently the producer of the Young Voices for the Planet films, which are youth solutions to the climate crisis. And this is about teaching science and civic engagement with hope, and about young people catalyzing action on climate change. So I'm going to just zip through these because I really want to have time to hear your comments and questions. These are some of the Young Voices for the Planet films, and there are 12 of them now. They're all about kids who were concerned about climate change, and they decided to do something about it. Just really quickly, these kids here, they did an energy audit of their school, and they saved their school $53,000 in energy bills. This boy, Felix, you can see my arrow. He planted 1 billion trees. These kids greened their school. These kids got the first plastic bag ban in the US, and then a statewide ban in California. And then these girls saw, these are the 3 girls on the top left, they saw all the other films. They thought, well, those kids did that, maybe we can do something. And they ended up overturning a law that had prohibited solar panels on town buildings, and they got solar panels on every town building. So the other thing that this project has morphed into, because it just started out where the kids were concerned about climate change and they were reducing CO2 emissions. And then as the project morphed, the kids started speaking out to elected officials, and it became really a fight for democracy, for keeping our democracy. Now, when I first started writing writing children's books, I started with all the problems, and I would go into schools, and these kids would be really upset. And then I started realizing that you had to tell success stories, that the success stories would empower them. The doom and gloom would just spiral them down. Sometimes these kids would be crying. And a lot of other organizations have realized that this is really the way to introduce climate change, is to start with the hope and the success stories. So these are some of our partners: PBS Learning Media. PBS is broadcasting them right now. National Wildlife Federation uses them in all their programs. And these are screenshots from the website. You can go to the website and check out the films, and under our films, you can see all our partners, our board, or everything about us on the website. This is the PBS Learning Media website, and this is a science curriculum, all to the standards for all of the films. And National Geographic has similar teacher information. NSF has endorsed them. United Nations Foundation has been sending them out all around the world. Harvard has them on their transition studies, actually in a course on ethics. And NOAA has them up. Here's NOAA's website. So we have on our website, we have the links to all the partner websites and then information about their resources. So we like to share resources. We have the Clean Network up on our website. And the idea is being sort of like a clearinghouse. When people come to us, they're not just seeing what we do, they're seeing what this is the U.S. Forest Service Climate Change Live, which used the films, was really just a wonderful climate change education website. So I started out illustrating children's books when I was 8. When I grew up, I went to my publisher and showed her this book. And she said, "You've really improved a little bit as an illustrator since you were 8. Can you redo the illustrations?" And I redid that. But I like to show kids that because the vision that kids have when they're young is different as you grow up. And so it's really important for them to keep what they write and to try and really speak out. They have a different perspective on the world. When I was a kid, I used to go into this woods, and I just was in love with this woods. It was my home away from home. And I came home from school one day, and they were bulldozing it. And I used to write these little children's books about all the animals that lived there. And it was just like, for me, my whole world being destroyed. And this was very key to the way I've come to see the world and my life's work, because I realized the adults didn't know what they were doing. They had no idea what was even there. And so when I grew up and I started hearing about the clear cutting of the old growth and the the rainforest, I really wanted to do something about it. And I went to the Amazon, sponsored by Tom Lovejoy and World Wildlife Fund at the time. And I wrote The Great Kapok Tree. And it's about this man who goes to sleep in the woods. And I'm sure most of you, if you're environmental educators, you know of this book. But it's been a bestseller. It's been in most third grade classrooms. And kids have really rallied. They have saved over 40,000 acres of rainforest. They put on these plays and musicals. They educate their community. They do these projects, Pennies for Protection. And so I saw that when I, instead of just focusing on all these dire problems, that the rainforest is being destroyed, if I focused on, look what these other kids are doing, the kids were totally motivated and they'd want to do something. They're the best messengers for climate change because they will bear the brunt of climate disruption. So then 4 years ago in a PBS interview, Justice Souter expressed his concern about the lack of civics in schools. And he warned that without a commitment to participatory democracy, the American people were open to a demagogue. This is 4 years ago, who would come and tell them that he'd fix everything if he had limited power. And so it seems like this is what has happened. And we desperately need to have civics and social studies in the schools and integrated with the science and the social studies. Self-efficacy is the ability of a person to believe that they have the power to make a difference in their own lives and the world at large. And self-efficacy and civic engagement are the foundation for a functioning democracy. So my goal has been to empower young people. The Great Kapok Tree has been in its most languages all around the world. I wrote Flute's Journey to connect the rainforest with our forests. And this piece of land in the middle, right here, this was a place called the Beltwoods, and it was going to be developed. And I put this in the book. As I was illustrating the book, this person sold, in the Red House, sold a lot of the land, and this is the Beltwoods up here. And this is what happened while I was illustrating the book. They clear cut that. And so as I was going around the country talking to kids about this issue, they started writing letters to the Episcopal Church, which is the group that owned it. And because their letters were so powerful, they got on Sunday Morning News with Charles Osgood, and they ended up saving this land where for 7 years the adults had not been able to save it and were about to lose this battle. So this has been my experience throughout my career of not just illustrating books, but empowering young people, that when they speak out, it can be a real game changer. The media will follow them, and they have this moral high ground. So I'm going to just zip through some of these other books. These are some great stories about kids saving this huge piece of land in Michigan, third graders raising $200,000 to save that. and the river ran wild. It's a story of the pollution and the cleanup of the natural river, but it was these kids with signs and demanding that they just want this river the way it was when their parents were kids. So the kids have a lot of sway. When I went to see the Anastasia ruins, it was a real watershed for me, because I saw that here's a civilization that had once been thriving, and they'd done themselves in by cutting so many trees and then changing the climate essentially. And I thought, that's when I had this epiphany that, well, they did that and we could do this to our whole earth. And I've been on somewhat of a mission to try and do whatever we can to save ourselves. And you know all about climate change on this call. This is a book I did with Gary Brosh, and we thought, well, if you just tell the science, that people want to do something. And I've had so many scientists say that to me, just teach the science. But in fact, this book of all the science, it didn't sell like the Great Kapok Tree. We have to consider the psychological effect of doom and gloom. And we know the solutions and success stories empower people. So the mission of Young Voices on Climate Change, that's the name of the nonprofit, and the Young Voices of the Planet films is to limit the magnitude of climate change and its impacts through empowering youth through positive success stories to take an essential role in informing society and decision makers and catalyzing change, since they will bear the brunt of climate disruption. A League of Conservation Voters study showed that most adults get their environmental information from the materials that their kids bring home from school, and the kids are the greatest pressure upon them to lead a more sustainable lifestyle. I wrote this article as a guest editor for Andrew Revkin for the New York Times on the importance of success stories and instead of gloom and doom. And right before I wrote this, a study had come out in the journal of, well, it's I'm actually not, I want to make sure I get it right, but it was about what they called motivated avoidance, how people are motivated to avoid hearing any more about something if it seems like such an intractable and troubling problem that they can't do anything about. And when I read this study, I thought, this is actually, the poster child for climate change, a problem that people are so distressed about. And this is an article from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology about motivated avoidance. And so we discovered at the University of Colorado that instead of just diving into teaching about the climate change science, that if we showed one of the Young Voices for the Planet films first, which was a success story, that it would break through that motivated avoidance, that the teachers would realize that there was something the kids could do, and the kids would realize that there was something they could do, and then they could hear the science because they knew there was some action they could take. And this was so important psychologically. So a Unilever study actually came out with the same findings. So this is a chapter in a book, Education in Times of Environmental Crisis. And I wrote this chapter about using these films to teach with hope. And Mark McCaffrey included the films in his book, Climate Smart and Energy Wise. And so a lot of this pedagogy about the pedagogy of hope and success stories has been getting some press. And youth actions themselves get huge amount of media attention. These are some of the coverage that these kids in the films have gotten. And we have an action map. So for instance, National Wildlife Federation with their eco schools uses these films. And whenever they have kids who are really great models, we put them on the youth action map. So we encourage you, when you're working with young people and you have studies, stories, please share them with us. We can put these on the map. So someone needs to mute, so we can share them with children all over the world. So I was hoping to show, do I have time to show one of the films, or has everyone seen the films? What do you think? What's the consensus?
I've seen a number of them. I look forward to catching up on ones that are more recent.
Okay.
So please show one if we have time.
Okay. All right. The one I'm going to show you is called Save Tomorrow, and I'll go to the website and just pull it up from the website. And I wanted to introduce you to, this is Albert Bandura here. He's the most frequently quoted living psychologist and the fourth most quoted psychologist of all time, following Freud, Piaget, and B.F. Skinner. And when he saw these films, he said, these films are giving voice to my 60 years of research. He's 93 years old. And when he saw when he saw this film, Save Tomorrow, he said, this exemplifies my theory of social modeling. It's how the way that people most will change their behavior is by seeing people who look like them, act, they relate to, doing whatever it is you would like them to do. It's social modeling, and this is what he said. And in the film, you'll see this girl Alice says, when I was watching the Young Voices of the Planet films, I thought those children look just like me, and maybe I can be doing what they're doing. And the Parkland students have shown us that young people can be the leaders, that youth are in the vanguard, setting an example through this social modeling, tangibly making a difference to ensure the survival of our planet. Okay. I just really quickly wanted to show you this curriculum. You can take a look at this yourself. This is if you go to the Young Voices for the Planet website under resources. The first one is Civic Engagement Curriculum. This goes with all the films. It's an action plan where you identify how the kids in the film did it, and then you go through this action plan, and you, either adults or kids, whatever you're working on, can do this. And it's on PBS Learning Media. It will be up on the NOAA website, and I'll just let you go through that yourself because I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. I'd rather show you this film. I'd also like to thank our funders. Rockefeller Brothers Fund is a big funder, and we just got a large grant from the Heinz Foundation to put on teacher training workshops. And I would love to hear from you whether you know somebody who might want to be the organizer, help us with these workshops, either teaching, be one of the presenters, or to actually help us organize it. And they're going to be in Pittsburgh. Okay, so this is the film, Save Tomorrow.
We're really, really close. We've been really close since like kindergarten. Working as a team it gives you much more courage than if you're just working as an individual. If you're alone, it's always scary.
I have these two friends, Mari McBride and Lily Georgopoulos, and I've known them since I was before preschool.
I think what binds us together is our passion for what's going on around us. We're all doers.
So when we were little, when we were first hearing about climate change,
it was on the news, it was in the papers, our parents were talking about it.
I just felt despair. It was worse than concern. It was just sadness. I didn't think there was anything anyone could do.
We got older and we realized that the grown-ups weren't doing anything about it. We kind of lost our faith in adults.
If they care about us, they should care about our future too. No one was going to protect our future for us, and so we were on our own.
I think the fight against climate change is kind of like the fight of Harry Potter and the Death Eaters.
Harry Potter was born into this problem, just like we were born into this problem. We saw that Harry Potter was brave.
Even though he was a kid, he made a difference.
We kind of saw him as a role model.
When I was watching the Young Voices for the Planet films, I'd never seen kids in action before, and it was really, really amazing. And I realized there was nothing different between me and the kids on those screens, and I could be doing what they were doing.
We thought, can we do something like this? Is it possible?
So I got really excited, and I got out a notepad, and I started writing. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but I was going to do something. All of a sudden, this idea just popped into my head. Save Tomorrow. That would be the group name.
Here in Lexington, the town laws didn't allow solarization of our town buildings.
We learned that there was a chance for all three of us to come and talk about the change at the town meeting.
Lily and Mari and I all wrote some statements to try and get them to allow solar panels to go on public buildings.
At first, we were a little bit scared. These are a bunch of grown-ups. They run the world.
To climate change, everyone has to pitch in and help. That means all of us right here in Lexington.
We decided to quote Dr. Seuss, using a quote from the Lorax. We said it together.
And remember, as Dr. Seuss said, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's gonna get better. It's not.
Thank you very much, ladies.
And then the whole town meeting just stands up and starts clapping. Even the moderator was.
All those in favor will signify by saying aye. All opposed?
It kind of hit us. We had helped this article pass unanimously.
It is unanimous. The motion carries.
We literally just skipped out of the town hall.
We had helped to get solar panels on all the town buildings. We weren't just helpless little girls.
We have more power than we'd ever imagined in our wildest dreams. After that, it was like, well, we did that. What can we do now?
We found out that they were planning to tear down part of our forest right next to Alice's house.
It's so quiet and peaceful out there. All you can hear is like birds and wind.
Makes you feel really free.
It's just like a whole separate world.
We have forts back there. We have owls back there that we know. We know where. We love those forests. And it was devastating to think that they could just tear down all those trees without even thinking about it. We immediately knew that we weren't going to let this happen. We made a petition to save our woods.
To whom it may concern, we are the kids of Lexington, and we have too many amazing memories of Mountain Road without anyone disturbing the beautiful forest there.
And then we went around to the whole cafeteria asking people to.
Hello? Is anyone there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. We just lost the audio.
You lost the audio too?
Yeah,
For the
right
video.
before you said hello.
Oh, okay. I'm really sorry. I'm such a Luddite when it comes to this stuff. I can. Do you want to? You want me to start it over again from the middle? What? Right? Are you there? Or am I not?
This may not work for other people.
We're
but
hearing you.
Yeah, this may not work for other people, but I'm watching it directly off your website, so it's still running for me.
Oh, that's smart. Okay. Okay. Are you able to see my? Are you still able to see my screen?
No.
Oh, you're
No,
not?
not at the moment.
Okay, here we go. Thank you for your patience. I'm really sorry about this.
Just waiting to view and share.
Okay, here it comes. Okay. And so it's showing, it's on, but it's, oh, I see. Okay. I don't know what I did. Okay, here we go. I'll fast forward through. Is this working for you now?
We're
Yeah.
really close. We've been really close since like kindergarten. Working as a team is, it gives you,
So I'll just move it a little bit further. Oh, okay.
it gives you much more courage than if you're just working as an individual. If you're alone, it's always scary.
I have these two friends, Mari McBride and Lily Georgopoulos, and I've known them since I was before preschool.
I think what binds us together is our passion for what's going on around us. We're all doers.
So when we were little, when we were first hearing about climate change,
It was on the news, it was in the papers, our parents were talking about it.
I just felt despair. It was worse than concern. It was just sadness. I didn't think there was anything anyone could do.
We got older and we realized that the grown-ups weren't doing anything about it. We kind of lost our faith in adults.
If they care about us, they should care about our future too. No one was going to protect our future for us, and so we were on our own.
I think the fight against climate change is kind of like the fight of Harry Potter and the Death Eaters.
Harry Potter was born into this problem, just like we were born into this problem. We saw that Harry Potter was brave.
Even though he was a kid, he made a difference.
We kind of saw him as a role model.
When I was watching the Young Voices for the Planet films, I'd never seen kids in action before, and it was really, really amazing. And I realized there was nothing different between me and the kids on those screens, and I could be doing what they were doing.
We thought, can we do something like this? Is it possible?
So I got really excited, and I got on a notepad, and I started writing. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but I was going to do something. All of a sudden, this idea just popped into my head. Save Tomorrow, that would be the group name.
Here in Lexington, the town laws didn't allow solarization of our town buildings.
We learned that there was a chance for all three of us to come and talk about climate change at the town meeting.
Lily and Mari and I all wrote some statements to try and get them to allow solar panels to go on public buildings.
At first, we were a little bit scared. These are a bunch of grown-ups. They run the world.
To stop climate change, everyone has to pitch in and help. That means all of us right here in Lexington.
We decided to quote Dr. Seuss, using a quote from the Lorax. We said it together.
And remember, as Dr. Seuss said, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's gonna get better. It's not.
Thank you very much, ladies.
And then the whole town meeting just stands up and starts clapping. Even the moderator was clapping.
All those in favor will signify by saying aye. All opposed?
It kind of hit us. We had helped this article pass unanimously.
It is unanimous. The motion carries.
We literally just skipped out of the town hall.
We had helped to get solar panels on all the town buildings. We weren't just helpless little girls.
We have more power than we'd ever imagined in our wildest dreams.
After that, it was like, well, we did that. What can we do now?
We found out that they were planning to tear down part of our forest right next to Alice's house.
It's so quiet and peaceful out there. All you can hear is like birds and wind.
Makes you feel really free.
It's just like a whole separate world.
We have forts back there. We have owls back there that we know where all the animals live. We love those forests. And it was devastating to think that they could just tear down all those trees without even thinking about it. We immediately knew that we weren't going to let this happen. We made a petition to save our woods.
To whom it may concern, we are the kids of Lexington, and we have too many amazing memories of Mountain Road without anyone disturbing the beautiful forest there.
And then we went around to the whole cafeteria asking people, do you want to sign this? Then we turned it in. And I think that they were really just overwhelmed. A bunch of school children all fighting for this little lot of woods behind their houses. This is like where they play. And I'm pretty sure they hadn't even realized that.
One of the reasons why people listen to kids is because we're trying to do what's right. Whereas some adults, they're doing it for the money.
But they realized how much this plot of land meant to all of us. And I think that really helped them make their decision. They kept the woods there, and the woods are still there today.
We saved the woods from there to beyond my house over there.
Yeah.
It's more like a corridor in between two big woods.
Yeah.
A passageway for the animals.
We realized, wait, we have a new school. We can put solar panels on our new school, reducing CO2 emissions and really doing something about climate change. Our whole school will be helping save the world.
We need to go out there and take a risk to make a difference.
We're taking it into our hands now. Seeing that we do have power and that we can make a change in the world, it's really inspiring. It really changes you. And I think it's just going to grow from here. So find your team, find your passion, find your power.
Hi. Is anyone there? Oh.
Yeah, we are here.
We're here.
We're here.
So, I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts on all this about messaging, motivated avoidance, the youth voice, what other people are doing, or if you have any more questions for me.
This is Ingrid Zabel. I have watched some of the films before. I hadn't seen this one, and it's just really powerful. I mean, this one and some other ones that just make me want to go out and, hit the streets, kind of. So I think it's really powerful, and the trick is, I guess, how to spread the word, how to get people to watch these.
Yeah, that is really the key. We have, through National Geographic and some of the bigger groups, we've gotten them out maybe to 1 million people, film festivals or traveling film festivals. But I agree with you, Ingrid, that if we could get these into every school, if the teachers could know about them, know that they have a way to teach about climate change that doesn't traumatize their kids, their students, that I really think we could be much more successful at having them teach climate change and having kids embrace the fact that they have power to make a change. Yeah. The other films, Kids versus Global Warming, at the end, he meets with James it's about this kid, Alec Lors, and he's 12, and he starts this group called Kids versus Global Warming, and then he does a Declaration of Independence from fossil fuel, and then he meets with, I actually introduced him to Jim Hansen, but he gets, in the movie, he meets Jim Hansen, and then they become like a team, and Alec goes around and talks with Hansen at a lot of the presentations that Hansen gives, and they're both advocating for a price on carbon, and he meets with elected officials, and that one's pretty powerful. And then the one, what's it called, Kids, Green Ambassadors, where they actually go through and explain these are fossil fuels, how it lays a blanket over the earth, and the difference between fossil fuel and renewable energy. So that has a lot more of the science in it. A lot of them, they start with the science and then they go into the solutions.
Lynn, Jim Callahan here from climatechangeeducation.org. Always, of course, when you produce these incredibly wonderful films, there is sharing ways that it can reach people. I was checking if you had made contact. I didn't see evidence of it, so I want to make sure you recommend the Environmental Youth Forum in San Rafael, California. Are you familiar with that?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so it's definitely worth checking out. And you're a very social person, so you don't need me to make introductions, but I'd be glad to. It's an annual event that's held in May. So it's Marin County, Marin County of the Bay Area. It's held in a movie theater, and so it's 3 days in 3 theaters of movies that are about the environment on lots of subjects. They bring in school kids from all over the San Francisco Bay Area, hundreds and hundreds of school kids every day. It's an amazing event where it's both seeing the film and then there's discussions after. It's a several hundred size movie theater down to one that's maybe 50. There's different three different theaters. The way I know it well is they also have this is not your deal, but they also have a hands-on science component. So they have a room that people come in and they do things, and they look to us as the anchor because we specialize in doing fun climate science. I mean, kids just come in and rush in and get all excited. Whenever I hear that climate science is scary, it's like I don't know what you're talking about, because it's if you lead with the scary stuff, of course, but you're talking the latest stuff in physics. Anyway, it's a wonderful event, and I highly recommend that. So that's one. So just see on that.
Oh,
maybe people have other places to recommend, because you make a film, but it's got to get out to the kids, and it's got to get.
That's right. It's got to get out to the kids. We've been showing it at a lot of youth summits. We've been speaking and showing it at these youth summits. But I think I now have we got a little funding, so I now have 3 people that are working for Young Voices for the Planet, and we're some of them, I think, are on this call. And so this is exactly where we're going now. It's just trying to get them shown at places just like you're describing here. So I would love an introduction. That would be great. Thanks.
Okay, so we can do that by email. One of the things that's really outstanding about that event, and it's kind of a hint if others somewhere else want to do it too, is there's naturally it's a challenge for us too. You go out to a school and maybe you're going to see 800 kids in a day, but this is an event that are bringing the kids to you. So you're going to see thousands of kids from many different schools, often has the kids who are already in environmental programs, but it's not limited to that. So one event, you're bringing all these kids in rather than you have to go to all these different schools, right? The school is up to you. It's just an outstanding, and the kids are already primed. They're excited, and of course they're on a field trip, so they're really excited. So.
And there's also one in New York City, out of New York City, exactly like you're describing. So for anyone who knows more about these kinds of things, please send them our way.
Hey, Lynn, this is Wendy Upshire. I'm the director of the American Meteorological Society's education program. And I've got another call coming in at the top of the hour. And so I just wanted to give you a heads up that I wanted to follow up with you, and I will following this call, to learn more about your teacher workshop in Pittsburgh and tell you how I think our program can help spread your word to teachers and then on to students too. So look for an email from me, okay?
Yes, thanks. And please, anyone else, please email me at lncherry@aol.com or to Young Voices for Planet is FOR Planet, Young Voices for Planet at gmail.com. Any ideas you have, we will follow up on. If you want to partner with us somehow, if you want to show the films, any ideas you have, I'd love to hear them.
Lynn, this is Anna Gold from Series Education Outreach. Great presentation. It was fun to reconnect or see this again after it's been a few years since you were here in Boulder. But I wanted to ask you if you are aware of the program that we are running that we call Lens on Climate Change, where we have middle and high school students produce films how climate change impacts their communities and their life. So they are slightly different films because they're more science oriented and more, documentary style versus, yours are the more call to action films. But we've now in a 3rd year with NSF funding have, work with students on supporting the students making their own films and featuring how climate change works. So I was just wanting to put it out there and see if there's possibly any overlap between the films you're doing
Yes.
and our program.
Yeah, I do know about your excellent program. I've heard so much about it, and I was talking to someone who's involved with it, whose name eludes me, and we were going to talk to you about putting some of those films up on our youth action map, because anyone who's doing work with kids, we can put their work, you'll see on the youth action map, there are tabs like for a lot of different organizations, and we can just make a tab and put your work up on the youth action map. And we really want to build out this map. So that's just one idea, but I'm sure that we can think of many of how we can work together. That's great.
That would be fantastic. We just actually had finished our program last week at Carbondale. Jen, thanks to your connections with Sarah, we just worked in Carbondale and they just screened their films on Saturday. They were pretty fun. Anyway, I'll be in touch.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, Lynne. This is Jen Putzer from the Wild Center. I've been, we've talked a little bit on the phone because we run youth climate summits here and have been doing work across New York and around the globe. And are you working primarily with like elementary and middle school, or is it primarily high school, or a mix? I mean, it seemed like those young girls in the film were mostly elementary age.
It's when you go through the films, you'll see that there's a really wide range. They're from 9 up till about 18. So it's stops at high school, but it's upper elementary to high school. And the reason we like featuring the younger kids is because they have, the big eyes. They make, the whole audience will be crying. It really gets to people's hearts. And that's another thing I didn't mention, but it's getting to their hearts, having them have an emotional experience when they see these films. That's what happens with the adults, and that tends to motivate adults. And seeing the success stories, the kids just get really excited by the films. Oh, we're going to go out and do this. It's really interesting.
Lynn, if I might, another kind of question on knowing your work, but on updates on this. For the kids the students who are in your films, both in terms of they're already reaching out and they want to reach out to more people, and also an environment which perhaps when you are making another film that you want to have a great a backdrop for where the kids are, right? Is that again, I'm sorry, I'm going to do the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm afraid that's a lot of what I know best. Is there are events, public events, conferences, science festivals, where you're a program that can reach large numbers of people because your students might be speaking. A lot of programs are just oriented to just schools, right? Small schools, a few people at a time. We reach 200,000 people in a day, 50,000 people in a day, 10,000 people a day through these programs because we're doing hands-on science. They want us there. It's fun. And when the kids are leading the science, it draws even more people. What I'm getting at is we successfully can work with other programs. Certainly kids, if they're interested, who are in California, they can come to that environment. We've already attracted a crowd and they can speak, they can do their thing. They kind of already have a stage where there's people coming up and wanting to learn about climate change and excited. And you could do interviews, you could do things, in other words, the kids can be seen reaching 10,000 people in a day. They actually talk to 500. They might actually talk to 500, but hundreds of thousands of people are going to walk by and see what's going on, right? These are incredibly large events, and because we do hands-on science, we're invited to be there. So many other programs can't do that, but we're not trying to dominate that. We want to invite other programs to come along and work beside us. We're invited. Rarely do we have a program in fact, never do we have a program work side by side us and the event organizers and say, hey, we invited you, but we don't want them, right? It's like they can be next to us, a table, right? So anyway, just please, for those who are in the San Francisco Bay Area, and perhaps it goes for New York and other places too, to be invited by those that reach the large crowds, the huge crowds.
Yeah, well, and anything like that, and we really are. That's exactly what we're seeking. Anyone on this call who wants to show the films, who has a venue, or if you are writing grant proposals and you want to write this into a grant proposal so we could work together, would love to do all of this. the idea is to just get these seen by as many people as can. So just, we just need to know, what we need to do to do these things you're suggesting. Thank you.
And one thing, Lynn, I would also add, you've been at this and doing so well for so long. It really does say something when, you've been through you've kept alive, you've kept it. I mean, when you have years of this wonderful practice and a great track record, that's someone I would definitely recommend people connect with, right? It's hard when you're just starting out to have your record. I mean, you've been out there doing this reliable person for so long. It's been wonderful. So.
But you know what? I am still, I'm really not meant to be an administrator, and I really am, more like artistic kind of big thinker kind of person. And if any of you know of someone who you think would make a good director for Young Voices for the Planet, someone who could really take this and really run with it, we have funding now, and so we're looking for the right person. So I should put out a job description on the Clean Network, I guess.
And just for one, while you do that, that's the director of the program, director of films, or both? Is that in terms when you say the word director?
It would be doing what I do, which is everything, except so it would be mostly partnerships, getting the films out, following up on all the things you're talking about, making things happen, just strategic thinking, administration. Someone to really take all those things that I'm not really good at, or like, technological things, do the things, let me do the things that I think that I am good at. Yeah, so it wouldn't be making the films. Yeah.
Okay, we'll send somebody your way who knows things. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else?
This was great, Lynn. This is Jen Kretzer again talking. Thank you so much for sharing all this today. Obviously, there's a lot of excitement around the work that you're doing, and I will follow up with you. Maybe you and I can chat offline sometime about our work, because it's very, very similar with the work we're doing on youth engagement and empowerment through our youth climate summits.
Oh, that would be wonderful. That would just be wonderful. Yeah, when people do get to see the films, they do seem to have this, they have a very powerful effect on people. And I think it's really just getting them in front of people. So if any of you just want to go to some key people and just sit down for 7 minutes and say, can you watch this? The films, especially the kids in Save Tomorrow, I mean, they'd really describe how those films affected them, how they changed their lives. So I think, especially with the Parkland kids having just taken the world by storm, people realize, wow, the youth voice really does matter. It's really turned a lot of people around. And then also the political situation where we know we have to get this democracy back on track and people voting and speaking out, that I feel like the kids are really the ones who can lead us. And it's unfortunate that they're in this position. They can't just be kids now, but we really need to try and empower everybody and make them realize that they do make a difference. Their voices do make a difference. Does anyone else want to make some parting comments?
I think we're at the top of the hour, so and I know some people are hopping off, but again, this has been recorded and will be archived. So if you have a colleague or a friend that would have really appreciated hearing this or getting a chance to learn more about Young Voices for the Planet, please direct them to the Clean website, and we'll look forward to our call next week. Thanks everybody for joining today.
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye everybody. Have a great week.
Thank you.